Thank you very much for those of you that you are connecting with us. We really, really appreciate it. Sorry, we have a load shedding here in South Africa that caused the breaking in transmission as we continue with the conversation with the great leader of our time, Professor Yemi Farounbi in the studio. And before we cut off out of the line, we are discussing about the publishing, I mean, the writing books and the progress, the challenges. What makes the writing become something that is not really robust in this current generation as we are talking about the media space at 21st century. Apologies to the breaking in the communications, sir. We really apologize for that. Thank you for coming back, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. All right. You explained something about the reading and the publishing of the books, especially in the Yoruba land. In those days, we have the great Fagoa, we have Odujo, Onibouje, and stuff like that. Uh, you are explaining something about it. Can you please take it from there, sir?
Yes, I said that at that time, what promoted the rapid publishing of books was the fact that these books were reading text. These books were reading text. When you went to primary school in those days or secondary school, you read a fatwa at least 1 year. Olodumare 1 year, Igbo Humale 1 year. So that provided an audience for the book. That encouraged the publisher because they were sure they would get an audience and therefore they will make money. But of course, that had changed. The study of the Yoruba language is not taken as seriously as it was by that time. So we need government to do something about that. It's not that they are not writers, they are still writers. I mean, there's the Akinwumi Sholas, I mean, Paleti wrote a few books. I know that Olatubo Oladapo is writing books, but unless you are sure they were going to be read, the publishers will not be encouraged. So a lot of the books we have now are self-publishing because unless government addresses the issue of studying Yorubas in school, unless government encourages the studies of Yoruba, unless government adopts a number of these books as true text, the publisher will not be encouraged. There are still writers, there are still great Yoruba writers, but of course, because of limited audience, the big publishing houses are no longer supporting them. So they are doing their own self-publishing, and that is not the best.
Hmm, hmm. That is not the best. All right, sir. I just quickly laid three foundational just for us to build on them. So let's quickly take you as a person into a journey. Let's quickly have a kind of background of where you are coming from, the achievement, and what makes the journey easy for you to achieve all this great achievement that we are connecting with today.
Um, well, I went to University of Nigeria. We were asked to leave during the Civil War, and I came to finish at Ife. It wasn't exactly difficult, I mean, exactly easy for Ife to take us back because of the dichotomy in educational system. University of Nigeria was largely American and the other universities were English. It took the intervention of the then military governor, late General Adenike Adebayo, who compelled Ife to admit us. admit them. If they fail exam, then you can drop them. As it turned out, we didn't fail. We did very well. Um, so when I left IFE, I was top of my class. So I went to teach at Imeku Grammar School as a temporary mayor because I wanted to go and do postgraduate studies at University of British Columbia, where I had the Richard Mellon Fellowship, or in the alternative, to go to University of Pittsburgh, where I had a teaching assistantship, but needed a passport because at that time there was one passport office in the whole of Nigeria, and that was in Lagos. So, in the course of looking for a job that will be near Lagos, where I can easily get my passport. That was how I came to WNTD, WBS. And I came at a period when they were intellectualizing broadcasting. As I said earlier on, what we looked for in broadcasting those days was a good face, a good voice, and school certificate. But it reached a stage they thought that for you to inform, to educate, and to entertain people, you needed well-educated people. And so they wanted to intellectualize and to recruit a number of graduates, and I was one of them. So, and I was in WNTV all the years until the Muritala Obasanjo regime decided to take over all television stations, and there were about 10 of them then: WNTV, NBC TV, ENTV, RKTV, I think Plato TV, Rima TV, about 10 of them, and said no region, no state must have television. Only federal government will have television, and they took over all of them to become NTA. Um, in doing this, it coincided in the West with the time they created Oyo, Ondo, and Ogun. So, which meant that WNTV had to break it to four. Some people had to go to Radio YO, somebody had to go to OGBC, some went to OSBC in Akure, and I opted to stay in television. So, that meant that there was a lot of space created in television. And so when the GM of television was moving and he was being appointed as the Director General of NTA, they needed a GM in Ibadan. And about 8 of us were considered, and I was favored by sheer grace of God, and I became GM. So it wasn't that it was easy. Well, it was a question of God's grace, being there at the right time. Because if I opted to go to radio, I would never have become a GM. Or if I wanted to go to Ondo Radio, probably I wouldn't have become. But at that time, we were given fantastic training. As I explained the other time, the difference between the academic training, which we already have, and the professional training. I was sent to BBC for training in management. I spent some time in what is now University of Westminster. Later on, I had attachment with the Center of Mass Communication Research at the University of Leicester. I had attachment with City University of London. I spent some time with Institute of Development Studies at the University of Sussex. All of this kind of training I have. Today, nobody can have it because it's so expensive because of Naira exchange. I mean, no station can afford it. But we were considered then not as a rich country, so we had a lot of foreign grants, foreign assistance, and I was able to do all of this. So it prepared me very well. And of course, I had to do a master's at University of Ife, where I taught the class, and I was given a Peter Udumusu award for being the best student. So a combination of the academic training, the academic background, the professional training, the exposure, the expertise, and being there at the right time, I became GM. And thereafter, because of politics, by 1979, the politicians came back, and they came back doing what they know how to do, to victimize, to politicize, to turn stations into megaphones, and so I got moved away from Ibadan to Akure, and eventually, as they were planning to move me from Akure, I left and came into film industry. I was busy trying to produce a film titled Mr. Henry Christophe, the story of a black man who was carried as a slave from Nigeria, who went to Haiti and became the head of state there. And he led Haiti to resist Napoleon Bonaparte. He was undefeated him. So I was trying to do a film based on him to show the cultural relationship between the Yorubas and Haiti. What the Haitians call voodoo is what we call juju. If they want to treat malaria, they will make agbo and they will cover you with a coverlet on a pot, the way we do in Nigeria here. So I wanted to do that. But in the course of doing that, the governor of Oyo State then, Kibola Ige, invited me to come and help him set what will become the Mecca of broadcasting in Africa. He wanted the best television in Africa in Oyo State. And he thought I was the one who could do it for him. So I accepted. So I suspended my dream of making film, and I came to help him to start what had become BCOS TV now. It was then called New Day Television. It was to be a Mecca. It was to be a Middle East market. It was to be a television market where everybody would find one program that he wanted. You can find what you need. You can also find what you wanted. But I called by 83. It was rigged out of election, and so we all left. I came back to filming.
All right. We are still connecting with Professor Yemi Farounbi. We are just having. Okay, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay. I made about 30 TV production. Then I went to celluloid film. I made Agbarin, the celebrated Agbarin, one of the greatest Yoruba film of that time. I made Iwa, which was based on Adebayo Paliti's story of Idamu Padimikalu. So that's how I drifted back into film production. And of course, I didn't exactly abandon television. I was still teaching. I was lecturing at the IBADAN Polytechnic Department of Mass Communication. I think I did that for 8 years. Then I went to University of Ibadan, Department of Language and Communication. As I lectured there for about 8 years. And at the same time, I was assisting in setting up television station, OGTV. I was a consultant. OSTV, I was their consultant. For 2 years, I was consulting for Ondo State Television Corporation. For some 3 months or so, I assisted in reorganizing Lagos radio and television. So I was teaching. I was producing production, making TV production and film. So I think it was God's grace that I was there at the right time. I was there at a particular time, and I could provide services that people needed. Station needed good program, I was able to give them. Universities needed people who had experience to come and teach, I was available. So I think that is just it.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. And the journey so far have been very exciting. So, I don't know, maybe you managed to publish any books along the line?
Yes, I have done quite a number of books. I've done a book called In Defense of Nigerian Broadcasting. I did another one with Nigerian Broadcasting. I did a third one, Broadcasting Management and Analysis of Principles and Concepts. I did the Dynamics of Office Politics. I did Pause to Think. At least I've done 6 books. and I've done numerous articles because at the same time I was a columnist in newspaper. I was a columnist for Nigerian Tribune. On Sunday, I was a columnist for Nigerian Tribune. On Saturday, I was a columnist for Sunday Sketch. I was a columnist for IBADAN magazine. I was a columnist for Wena News. And at a time, for some 4 years, I was the chairman of Daily Times. So I had always had a busy schedule.
All right, so there's one aspect that I want you to mention, and that is from your secondary school experience at Christ High School in Ado Ekiti. Can you please tell us a few things about that as well, sir?
Well, Christ School at that time was an Anglican school, a missionary school, set up in 1936 by the Anglican mission, with the first principal as Archdeacon Henry Dalima. The second principal was Canon Leslie Donna Macy. That was the principal when I was there. It was a school based on deep and very rich Christian values. So don't forget, my father was an Anglican priest. He was one for 41 years. He died in active service. So I was born up in Anglicanism. I was born up as the son of a pastor. Then I went to an Anglican school where you woke up in the morning with a morning prayer, where you had a morning devotion before you started classes, and before you sleep at night, there'd be a devotion. So we were taught basic Christian values, which, when you look at them, are really the same as the rich Omoduabi values. And of course, because it was Anglican, we had a lot of expatriates. I mean, I had a few expatriates who taught me mathematics. In fact, I never knew I would ever pass mathematics, but we had a white man who came, and he made mathematics so simple that I was able to pass it with distinction. I mean, it was incredible. So we had good teachers, we had good training, but more importantly too, the education was made comprehensive. I was taught carpentry, I was taught bricklaying, I was taught tailoring, and farming was a very important element in our training. So it is not only academics, we are also giving training to use our hand. And of course, there was a lot of literary and debating. There was football, there was racing, cross-country race. So we had a very well-rounded education. And at that time, high school was the cheapest to attend. And for me, coming from a pastor, you remember they used to say as poor as the church rat. You know why the church rat is poor? Because the pastors are poor, there'll be no food for the rat. Christ School allowed us to pay instrumentally, which made it more convenient. So I had a combination of Christian values at home, Christian values at school, and the deep, rich cultural values of the Yoruba, Omoluabi, godliness, good neighborliness, integrity, honesty, self-discipline, dependability, reliability, all of this, plus the Christian value I was exposed to. And I think that's what has made my life.
Wow, wow. So I know that with that, that is one of the things that make us to always want to be around you, learning from you. As a matter of fact, you are currently also a priest, because I've read that as well. You are currently a priest. But so let's now call it a day in conclusion. Let's bring all this journey and all this experience with the life of Aisha Pepe, experience of your personal experience, what is happening in the media space in the 21st century. I just want a golden advice and a solution to some of the problem of this current generation for us to use that as going forward. A solution to the current problem in media space and in the government space. especially in Nigeria where you are?
Well, in the government space, and that is our basic responsibility to ensure that only good people are in government. Only those who have the correct vision of lifting the country, uplifting the country, changing the situation of the country, tackling the issue of security in the country, not only physical security, food security, energy security, education security, health security, job security. We are having a large drift of Nigerians outside Nigeria because of the insecurity. Because people want to go to university and they find they spend 8 years simply because there'll be ASU strike, there'll be NASU strike. That means there's no education security. So what will happen? Students will migrate to Ghana or South Africa or Liberia or Sierra Leone. Then there's no job security. A large number of people will graduate. They want to create jobs, but there's no energy. They cannot create energy. They cannot access capital very readily. And therefore, what do? They japa, they leave Nigeria compulsory to become slaves, if you like, in America or UK or Europe. So we need to ensure we have good government, absolutely good government with the right vision to uplift Nigeria. A good government that has capacity. It's not everybody that has a dream that has the capacity to do the dream. So when we are being asked to vote, we must look at the vision of the person, we must look at his competence, and then we must look at his character. That is our responsibility. If we are not governed well, then it is the choice we have made. Then when you now come to media space, I am hoping that government will understand the need that funds, capital is an important element in film production, in drama production, in television, and all of that. And that unless these contemporary media organizations have access to some reasonable fund at very easy rate, we are not asking for grant. It's not wrong if they give us grant, but we should have, for example, an arts council that has a huge chest from which film producers can borrow money at maybe 0.01% and things like that. So we can begin to recycle the money and we can make sure that the content of Nollywood, the technology of it, the story outline, the costuming, the location will be the best in the world. And then we can begin to earn a lot of money from this. Media space, again, we need training, a lot of people to train our artists, our broadcasters, our journalists professionally. They are academically well trained now. And there is a particular field that is crying for training, and that is animation. Animation is the next area we must explore. A lot of our children, they love the cartoons. Even old people love the cartoons. We should be able to make the Japa series, the Tortoise series, the Nyanibo series into cartoon. A lot of even historical films, we should be able to make them into cartoon, but we don't have enough animation studio. We don't even have animation training center the way you have it in South Africa. And these are the kind of thing I'm hoping that those in the diaspora can begin to invest in. They can bring technology, expertise, skill from where they are back home so that content of our program can be improved upon.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. I'm so glad and I'm so happy with this great advice. And I believe that the people involved will be able to do something about it. And we're going to share this program across the globe to make sure that it gets to the right people. But the main reason why bringing you on the spotlight this hour is to celebrate the life of the Dr. Aisho Pepe and also
Can I say something on Aisho? We've launched a Dr. Aishola Ogunshola Foundation. The whole idea is to build a media resource center that will not only be a film village, but will have a gallery where you can see all his old works and the old works of Ogunde, Ogungbe, Kola, Ogumola, and so on. They were in black and white, but we're going to preserve them in those places so that you can know yesterday, compare with today, and begin to build tomorrow. We are hoping that we will find collaborators, partners who join with the family. I will give you the details much later, the contact details, so that our people in the diaspora can join to help us celebrate these great artists, multi-talented, multi-skilled, a producer of excellence, a director of excellence, an actor of excellence, a dancer of excellence, a music composer of excellence, a singer of excellence, an actor of excellence. And can I sing a song of peace for you?
Yes,
Kila
sir.
mpoma yoshe, ere o, ela
Lórúkọ
mpoma.
ọmọ ayò, Ògúnṣọlá Ìṣọ̀lá Ògúnṣọlá dọmọ ayò. Èrè o, lórúkọ ọmọ ayò jẹ́.
So any support for the family, for this foundation, to build this center, where there'll be also a training center for actors and actresses in various dimensions of film, any support will be most admired and welcome.
All right, sir. This was done at University of Ibadan on Friday, I think last Friday, with
Yes, it was done
so
in
many
the
artists.
Wellington
I saw the picture.
Theater. Yes, it was
Well,
done
I
there.
saw that there is Ogabelo was there, and I see some of the artists also there as well.
Yeah, Ogabelu was there, Igiripa was there, Kunle Afolayan was there. I mean, you know, and they are making great films now, so they were all there. Pejo Gumela was there, Aderu Koko was there. All the great names in theater in Nollywood were there. And of course, there were a lot of intellectuals, all the professors involved in theater training in the South where they were also there. And of course, there were students.
All right. With this note, sir, I will also like to let the world know that based on this, on the coming Friday, Thursday, this Thursday here in Johannesburg, God bless Africa, one of the great movements that is doing so great in Africa, uniting Africa, bringing Africa back on the spotlight. In collaboration with the African Portal, will be bestowed on you an award of excellence, and as one of the great leaders by this Thursday, by the grace of God, at Johannesburg. The details is already on our site, and we definitely put it on the spotlight as well. And we're looking forward till next year to have a kind of collaboration with you, bringing you to South Africa, probably do one or two movies, and working with some of the South African-based actors and actresses as well. I think that is one of the things that we can do as well to also try to break the bridge and the borders that the Westerns created within the Africa to make Africans hate themselves. And as advocate of peace and as one of the great leaders of the media space, I believe that with your personality and with the strength that you have, that will also bring the balance to the problem of the xenophobic in Africa, especially within the South Africa to other African countries, because the xenophobic are becoming one of the challenge that is affecting Africa and affecting other aspects of African life here in South Africa. So that will be the conversation for another time. But sir, thank you very much for coming out to be part of this program this hour. I really appreciate it. I wish I can stretch it more, but time will not permit us to stretch it more. I celebrate you so dearly, sir, and I really appreciate you coming out. And everyone join me to thank Ambassador Dr. Yemi Farounbi, one of the great leaders of our time, the former GM of NTA IBADAN, and also the former ambassador of Nigeria to Philippines is right here. I didn't go to that much, but when next time I'm bringing you back, sir, we will talk more about that. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And every time, God bless Africa for considering me worthy of their honor. I look forward to next year. It will be awesome. We must break the barrier. There's no difference between the Zulus and the South Africans and the Yorubas and the Hausa. We are one. We are genealogically one. And when you go into archaeology, you know that the oldest man came from Africa. We are the oldest in the world. The DNA had proved that. So we are one. There's no reason for us to have xenophobic differences. So I look forward to coming next year for us to break the barrier, for us to begin to see a co-production and a series of co-production between Nigerian producers and South African producers. I know Mauritius is trying to do some of that. We can do that. In music, we can do that. In entertainment, we can do that. Even in print journalism, we can do that. I thank you for the wonderful job you are doing. God bless your work, and God bless Africa.
Thank you very much, sir. To everyone listening to us, this will be the end to this broadcast for this hour. I will bring Professor Yemi Farounbi back probably next year, early next year. I will definitely bring him back. And we also set up a program that will be an educative program that we will be doing on the African Portal in collaboration with Professor Yemi Farounbi. Professor Yemi Farounbi, thank you very much, sir, for the great time. I didn't go to politics. I intentionally not going to that. We will be talking about that some other time and some other things that we need to discuss. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you so dearly. God bless you, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much, sir. Goodbye from here. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
This my music jam is full of joy.
Arabian Jerry play for us.
This my music jam is full of joy.
Arabian Jerry play for us.
Come on, everybody dance with me.
Arabian Jerry play for us.
Come on, everybody dance along.